Hi foodies, how are you? I hope you're having a happy day. I'm sitting here mashing some chickpeas. I thought I would show up and show you what I quickly made for lunch. I made a chickpea smash, but I didn't use all my chickpeas. So I had taken some eggplants off of our bush yesterday, and I cooked them in the air fryer just to get the eggplant cooked inside, but I didn't know what I was going to make with it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoop out the meat of the eggplant and I'm going to mash it right along with the chickpeas, and I'm going to make a baba ganoush type mash. So I'm going to put that eggplant in there. I'm going to cut this one open. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to need garlic for that. And I'm going to put some shallot in it, which luckily I had cut up a shallot for my chickpea smash. And I'm going to take this eggplant and I'm going to make sure that I get all of the eggplant scooped out of here, because I only had 2 small eggplants on my eggplant bush in the front of my house, and I've been battling the Quaker parrots because they keep swooping in and wanting our mangoes, our figs, all of our food basically. So I keep forgetting that I have this rag on me. All right, so there we go. Now I'm going to continue to mash it. So I've got chickpeas in here, I've got the eggplant, and I'm going to add some spices to it, some Mediterranean spices, so that I can make my baba ganoush. So by adding the chickpeas, I am adding the protein to it, but I'm also going to be adding some soy yogurt to it. I'm going to take out some of this peel because I want it to look pretty like a baba ganoush would, and I don't want the peel in here because it'll give it that dark flavor. I want it to stay clean. So I'm going to take out the skin. I've got some eggplant going here. So here we go. Chickpeas mashed with my eggplant that I roasted in my air fryer. I'm going to add some Greek seasoning. You can use, there's a brand out there called Calendars, C-A-L-L-E-N-D-E-R, Calendars. They have a no sodium Greek seasoning that is delicious. I'm going to put some garlic powder in here, and I'm going to put some onion powder, and I'm going to put some chopped onion, dried chopped onion. So it's going to rehydrate into my baba ganoush, and I want to make sure and put enough garlic powder in here. I'm not putting fresh garlic in because sometimes the fresh garlic makes it go bad quicker. It almost ferments it, and I have so much stuff in the refrigerator that we need to go through. So now I'm going to taste test this, make sure that the flavors are okay. This is a pseudo baba ganoush, guys. Okay, let's see how we can adjust it. I'm going to adjust it with a little bit of the Greek seasoning. And put a little bit more in. Oh, and I forgot, I still need to put my soy yogurt in. So I'm going to put a little bit of soy yogurt into it. So I'm making a baba ganoush, guys. I had some eggplant in the bush in front of my house. I've been battling the Quaker parrots and all the animals that live here in Florida. They're trying to steal my figs, my mangoes, my eggplant. I mean, you name it, they're trying to steal it. So I just got this out of my Instant Pot. I just finished my next batch of soy yogurt. So I am putting it away in the fridge. It's fresh. I put just 2 dollops in here for my baba ganoush. So I am mixing like a Mediterranean spice. I have one that is called Calendars that's no sodium. And you can add that to it. You can put fresh garlic in it. You can put dried onion, dried garlic, minced onion. So this is going to be a little bit of a baba ganoush. So I'm going to taste this to make sure that the flavors are good. All right. Never mind my chewing, sorry. Okay, so I made a chickpea smash earlier, and I made a tzatziki. So this is another jar of my soy yogurt. It was filled 2/3 of the way, and I did that on purpose because I knew that I was going to be making an entire jar of tzatziki. Jay loves this on top of Ezekiel bread. So I just toasted some Ezekiel bread. And in my chickpea smash, which I'm going to be using both things, the chickpea smash and some of the tzatziki. I'm going to put the tzatziki on top as almost like a little dollop or a drizzle, although it doesn't drizzle because I made it really thick. So this is a chickpea smash, almost like a tuna fish. I'll show you guys. Almost like a tuna fish sandwich spread like we would have in our SAD diet. But I used my soy yogurt in it, and I put celery and green onions and fresh shallot, and I actually put cabbage for crunch. I know the celery gives it crunch, but I put cabbage for the cruciferous veggie, but also for the additional crunch, and it's not going to ruin the flavor. And then I added some celery seeds, and I used this delicious seasoning. It's sodium free, but it gives it that pickle flavor. If you don't have that, you could use dill weed. It gives it almost like that pickle flavor. And yesterday, we grabbed some of our jalapenos and serranos and habaneros, and we have different types of peppers outside in the yard. And we did a half and half. I do half apple cider vinegar, half white distilled vinegar. And then I put about 1 or 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. If you don't like the pickle so sweet, don't add but just a tablespoon. And you can omit it altogether. I put fresh slices of garlic, cucumbers, shallots, and I put garlic powder and also some onion powder, and we cut up the peppers. You can see them in there. So I used some of this pickling juice in my chickpea smash, and I'm going to probably on Jay's drizzle a tiny bit of the pickling juice on top of his bread. So I'm going to make an open face. It could be a sandwich, actually. I could give him a sandwich. I might surprise him with a sandwich because we haven't had sandwiches in a while. And you kind of, on a whole food and plant-based diet, you kind of forget about sandwiches, right? Because you always think that you have to add animal to it. So I'm going to go ahead and slice up some cucumbers like this. And I'm going to put them on here. And I'm going to put the tzatziki. I'm going to cut them in triangles too, because if not, he's going to be like, did you cut my sandwich? I like them in triangles. He likes them in squares. So yes, we're kids that way. So here we go. And I'm going to put a tiny bit. Let me get another spoon because all my spoons are dirty. But I'm going to get a tiny bit of this pickled juice, and I'm going to kind of sprinkle it on top just for giggles. And then I'm going to put a little bit of the tzatziki, and the tzatziki was my soy yogurt with Greek seasoning, with shallots, with a lot of cucumber, all minced in. So I took a lot of shallot and I minced it up. I took a bunch of cucumbers and minced them up, and I made a really chunky tzatziki. So I'm going to be putting that, I don't know guys, this is so cute this way. Maybe I'll cut it up into triangles or whatever, and he can eat it like this. So maybe this is mine. I'll make him a sandwich. All right, so I'm going to make his, and I am going to surprise him with that sandwich. So like I said, my chickpea smash has cabbage that I've finely sliced and chopped up so that it's just a crunch. Celery. I have shallots in here. I have green onions. I even put some dilly, the dilly licious for the dilly flavor. And then I'm going to put a little bit more of the vinegar. The other day, Jay made a delicious vinegar that was, he took our jalapenos and he put it in apple cider vinegar. He didn't do the half and half like I do. He did the full apple cider vinegar, and he added powdered onion, powdered garlic, and he mixed it all up with a ton of chopped jalapenos. And he made the most delicious vinegar sauce that we have been putting on our bean dishes. Like yesterday we had beans over quinoa with a bunch of veggies on top. And we had a big mountain on our plate. Talk about head bowl salads. You guys know that we love to make our head bowl salads. So we did a bean bowl head plate. It was huge. It was like a big mountain. So we did quinoa on the bottom and black beans, and then we topped it with as many non-starchy veg that we could on top. The only starchy that we had on top was, I think it was corn. So we had seen Rip Esselstyn do the Esselstyn family favorite, which is beans over rice, and then we didn't have rice, and I'm about eating. We need to eat what we have in the fridge first, you know, the food prep that I've worked over. So I have quinoa right now, I have groats, I have, I think we've used up the farro, but I wanted to make sure that we use those. So we did the beans over quinoa, and it was delicious with all the veggies. So here's Jay's, and here's mine. If you have any questions, shoot them down at the bottom in the comments. If not, I'm going to let you go and hope you guys are having a happy day. There's my Ezekiel bread with chickpea smash. I've got some cucumbers, and I've got tzatziki on top. And Jay's is going to be a sandwich cut in 4 like he likes. And it's got the chickpea smash, and I put the tzatziki in it. If you don't want to have it with bread, you could put, cut up celery as a scoop for your tzatziki or your chickpea smash. You could put the chickpea smash on top of a bed of cruciferous veggies like kale, maybe spinach, maybe cabbage, or whatever it is that you would like. Even some of the lettuces, we tend not to use the lettuces because I feel like they don't have as much nutrients as the kale and spinach and other things that we could use. So, but you can use this in any which way that you want. The tzatziki, I also love to serve it along with hummus. So I'll make a little bowl of tzatziki, a little bowl of hummus with a bunch of veggies. And you guys know that we love our little tiny potatoes that I keep steamed in the refrigerator all times. I have a big container of them right now. And Jay opens the fridge and he uses those as snack. He goes in and he'll make a little bowl and dip the veggies and the potatoes with whatever dips I have in the fridge. So this is part of the food prep. So now I have tzatziki. Got it on me. Now I have tzatziki, and I have the chickpea smash, which I'm going to have about half left over. And so that'll be good for tomorrow or another day. And then I also did a little baba ganoush, which I did with the soy yogurt. I took 2 small eggplants and I stuck them in the air fryer yesterday. And I didn't put any spices or anything. I just air fried them so that they would be roasted. And I put them in aluminum foil. And then I've mixed this with soy yogurt with the rest of my smashed chickpeas to add that protein, even though the soy yogurt is also going to add protein. So these are all protein loaded dishes. We don't need to worry about where we get our protein when it comes to plant-based because there's so many different sources. You guys know that I use Eden Foods soy milk because it's the purest and it has the highest protein content. And, I see Jay. I'm going to tell him to do a drive-by and pick up. Hey, babe, do you want to pick up your sandwich? Let's see which one he picks. Which one are you going to pick?
Oh, the little mini one.
I told you he likes them cut up like a little kid. I like triangles. He likes squares. There you go. Get yourself a napkin. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So there's our baba ganoush. So I've got 3 things prepped in my fridge, apart from all the other things. The thing that we have the most trouble with is opening our fridge. You're still there. Give me a thumbs up if you're still there. I just got a spammer. So the biggest issue that we have is deciding what we want from all of our food prep in our fridge. So today I knew that I had the eggplant and that I had chickpeas to go through, and we don't want to eat them all the same way. So I had an entire giant container like this of the chickpeas. So then I'm like, okay, I can make stir fry, I can make this, I can make that, but we had stir fry over the weekend. I didn't want to repeat that. I could make a curry, didn't feel like a curry because it's hot and summery here in Florida now. So I wanted to do something fresh and refreshing. So I'm doing these 3 things to add to my food prep in my fridge. So keep that food prepped, and that way you just very quickly can feed yourself, and that way you won't be tempted. You can even take a sandwich with you on the run. Or if you can't take a handheld sandwich, you make a little bowl of the chickpea smash, put some veggies in there and take it with you in your purse, go out the door. I do that all the time. This saves me from ever thinking or getting hungry to the point where I have to pick up anything from anywhere. I keep apples in my purse. I keep mandarins in my purse. It's really funny because I just pull them out and start eating them. Sometimes I'll have 3 apples in a row if I'm that hungry. It's better for you to take some fruits with you. Obviously, if you can do the plate balance, anytime you put anything in your mouth, whether it's a smoothie, a snack, a dinner, a lunch, a dessert, try to have that balance. And by the balance, I mean, let me see if I have my plates. For those of you that are new here and don't know my plate balance, this is my plate balance to lose weight. This is my plate balance to maintain weight. However, every person's plate balance is different depending on if you're starting, if you're already maintaining, if you're even looking to lose weight. If you're not looking to lose weight, I want you to focus on a plate where you're not going to be consistently losing weight. I'm already at a weight where I'm comfortable. I don't want to keep losing. And full disclosure here, I don't know why, because I ate a ton, but I lost 5 pounds while we were in Panama. And I wasn't intending to, but because we're trying to build muscle. So I'm not looking to lose anymore. So I'm making sure that I'm eating enough now, because I came back and I had the surprise that I had lost the 5 pounds, and I was eating a lot. And my friends and family that were with me saw me eat, and they saw me order and keep ordering. And so once I figured out what I could order at the places that we were hanging out with people, I just doubled up on them. Hummus, doubled up on steamed veggies, doubled up on that stuff. But plant-based food doesn't have a lot of calories. So you have to make sure and combine your plate so that you have the right nutrition, so that not only do you have nutrition, but you don't have deficiencies. So when I first started out, this actually was my plate to lose weight. But as I lost weight over time, then I needed to go to this plate to lose weight. And I'll explain what's on the plate. I have videos and posts about plate balancing and what should go on here if you want to go look at them. I have multiple ones. I have them on YouTube. I have them on the Facebook page. So you can inform yourself as to what you put on here. So on the plate should be, the biggest portion should be non-starchy vegetables. Right up here, you should have protein, which means tofu, beans, legumes, any type. So here I would put my hummus, and here I would put a bunch of veggies to dip my hummus, and then here I would put some starchy. So either the potatoes to dip my hummus, or a whole wheat bread, or a whole wheat pita, or something like that. Same thing for this plate. So I started out at 200 and I think it was 200 pounds. I can't remember if it was 205 or 200. I weighed 200 pounds. So when I started out at 200 pounds, this plate did help me lose weight. I had so many pounds to lose, but I did not focus on losing weight. I focused on my nutrition. And by putting my nutrition on this plate, then what ended up happening is my body naturally over time started losing weight because I was eating the right things and balancing correctly. It was trial and error, because in the beginning I thought, oh, plant-based, I can just eat whatever. So I started, eating avocado smashed every day, like I'm doing my sandwich here. So I started doing avocado smashes that looked just like this, but with avocado. Well, guess what? Avocado smashed on your Ezekiel bread, no matter how many veggies you put on it, is so much saturated fat. I wasn't losing any weight. I also was using too many nuts. I was using too many nut butters, because I was like, those are plant-based. I can use all the nuts in the world. I can just eat them by the handful. I can cook with them. I can put them in every salad. I can put them, I can use the peanut butter. Jay was dipping into the peanut butter jar. So I figured this out quicker than Jay did, because I was the one that was cooking and I was the one that was paying attention to what we were doing. And he was reading his glucose for me every day so that I could see what food did to him, and so that I could balance. That's the other thing. If you're trying to reverse chronic diseases, you want to make sure and balance that plate for your chronic diseases that you're trying to normalize. So if you have diabetes, you want to make sure and get the starch and the protein and the non-starchy veg here. Don't be afraid of starches. Don't be afraid of carbs. Don't be afraid of sugars. As long as it's whole, and as long as it's whole complex carbs, and as long as you are not overfilling this plate with saturated fats, which are going to be the trigger for insulin resistance, then you will be okay. And over time, you're going to see your numbers, your glucose numbers get better, but they are going to have little spikes, but they're normalizing. And as your body heals, your body will be able to handle the things that you put in it better. And you'll notice that things that bothered you before, like rices and potatoes and starchy veg and sugars and sweets and desserts, will no longer affect you. So Jay lived a life where he could not have, and I was starting to, because I was already in the diabetic range and high cholesterol. So we were already starting to, we can't eat carbs, we can't eat pastas, we can't eat rices, we can't eat potatoes, we got to watch the sweet potatoes, we got to watch this. No, what you have to watch is whole complex carbs versus simple carbs. They're very different. Whole complex carbs will be okay in your body as long as you're not adding simple carbs and processed foods. So if you are using processed foods that have added items, added sugars, added oils, added saturated fat, simple carbs that are made from white refined flours, they're made from like white rice and white flours, and you're putting those types of carbs on your plate, yes, you're going to have problems with your glucose numbers. So don't be afraid of this plate. A lot of people are afraid in the beginning. When they come to me, they're afraid to put potatoes on here. They're afraid to put pasta on here. You are combining a plate with protein. You're combining it with non-starchy veg and with starchy veg. And with that balance, over time, your body heals and heals and heals. You have to trust the process. But it's on you too, because if on the weekend you're going off and you're thinking it's a vacation from this lifestyle, it's not. You are feeding your body every day. So you don't want to yo-yo your body and confuse it, and then on the weekend be filling it with the simple carbs and the things that you're trying to clean up out of your body. So that's why I say make it delicious. Make the desserts that you like, but make them whole foods. Make the dishes that you like pasta and lasagna and things that you like, but substitute it and make it so that it is whole foods and plant-based. Our lasagna is now whole foods and plant-based. Our pastas, our sauces are whole foods and plant-based. And they're actually, to me and to Jay, more delicious. I won't speak for him, but he said it plenty of times on our videos and such. It tastes better. You taste every component of it. They taste richer and they satiate you, which means that they fill you up and keep you full longer, satiated longer, so you're not reaching for the wrong things. The other thing that I can tell you on this lifestyle, if you're hungry, right after eating, you didn't eat enough, or you didn't eat the balance, or you didn't eat enough of the right things. So keep that in mind. If you're getting hungry an hour after eating, you did not eat enough of the right things, or you didn't plate balance. Because if you eat enough of the right things that will satiate you, you will not be hungry in an hour, or you won't be hungry right after eating. You will be satiated. You'll never feel like you have to pop that button. I never feel anymore like I have to pop that button. You know, when you go to the restaurant and you would eat sad foods, or you would be at a friend's house or even at your own house and you had made steak and this and that for dinner, and you're popping that button because you're oh so full. That feeling never happens to me anymore, but I feel a satiation where my body tells me to stop, and I could not put one more morsel in. And the reason for that is your stomach is this big, let's say, and if you're eating meat and you're eating other things on that plate, the meat only takes up this much of your stomach. And the stomach is being this big, the meat only takes up this much of your stomach. This plate is so satiating and so filled with fiber that it actually is going to fill my entire stomach. So that's the difference. You feel the heaviness of the meat, you feel the heaviness of the oils, but oil only fills up this much of your stomach, and oil has, I think it's 130 calories per tablespoon. It might be per teaspoon. Someone can look it up for me and type it in there. I don't want to put 130 calories and only have one tiny little spoonful of it that only fills up this much of my stomach, and then a steak that only fills up this much of my stomach, and then an hour later, when that fullness of gross fullness goes away, you're still hungry, starving, and grabbing other things. So you've ingested these big calories, lots of saturated fat that has brought on chronic disease, that has also not served its purpose inside your body. So this low calorie, delicious, and it's also going to, and don't worry about me, for some reason, I like my food to sit there before I eat it. Jay wants to eat it immediately, and I just kind of want it to, I don't know, age. So this is delicious tasting, super low calorie, but it's filled with nutrients and satiation because of the chickpeas and all of the things that I've put in it. And if I wanted to, I could dust it with hemp parts. I could dust it with flax meal. I could have put flax meal or nooch in it to give it a little bit umami. I always say put some of the Power 5 into any of your meals. I didn't do it for this one. I could put it in my tzatziki. I might put a little bit of nooch in the tzatziki or some hemp parts. So that's a way of adding satiation. The Power 5 are some of the things that you can use for satiation. The Power 5 for me, I call them the Power 5, or chia powder, hemp hearts, nutritional yeast, and flax. Now, they have saturated fat, but it's good saturated fat. And unlike peanuts and nuts and nut butters, they're not so highly saturated fat that they're going to cause weight gains like the other foods will, and they're not going to cause a problem with chronic diseases like saturated fats will with diabetes and triggering the insulin resistance. So, but you don't want to overdo them if you're trying to lose weight, because if you're adding flax at every single meal, and you're adding hemp parts at every single meal, and you're adding these at every single meal in too large of a quantity, then you could be adding too many saturated fats, and what's going to happen is you're going to notice your weight be stable, but it's not going to lose. So evaluate all the things that you're putting in your mouth. Some of the foodies have sent me their daily. I invite you to do the same. If you want to reach out to me, you can always reach out to me through Messenger or through the comments section or through our chat. And then we can go private and have a private chat. And you can even email me. And some of the foodies have sent me their daily log so that I can help them because they're confused as to why they're not losing weight. So, but in order for me to be able to look at what you're ingesting every day, I not only need to know chickpea smash on Ezekiel bread, I need to know what did you put in that chickpea smash, because if I find out that it's a nut butter, in something, then I can dissect where it is that you've got too much that is keeping you stable or not losing weight, if it is that you're trying to lose weight. So my sister did that with me, and when I learned that our bodies did not tolerate certain things in too large of a quantity, one, for Jay's glucose spikes, because he still takes his blood glucose readings so that I'm cooking appropriately for us. And then for me, it would show up in not losing weight. It also shows up for him in not losing weight. So if I have too many saturated fats, I just am stable. Or if I have too many and really indulge, then I could potentially gain weight. So you want to make sure and keep tabs on what you're putting in your body. Mental note, you don't have to write it down, but if you're one of the people that logs and that's easier for you, then log, and that way dissect everything that you used in that dressing, everything that you used in the chickpea smash, and what did you have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. For me, I have a mental log. For Jay, he cannot keep that mental log, so once he has that breakfast, and he then has lunch, he forgot what he had for breakfast, and that maybe he had the saturated fat at breakfast and maybe he shouldn't be adding it to lunch. So that's the kind of things that I do in my head. So if you need a paper and log or a computer and log, do it. That way it keeps you honest with yourself. I know that if I had avocado for lunch, I'm not going to add it for dinner. If I added nuts to my salad for lunch, I'm not going to add it for dinner. And I'm even more calculated than that. Avocado, I might use once a week. Nuts, I might use 2 or 3 times a week. For the nut butters, usually when I use them, they're in a recipe and they're split over 12 muffins. So the half a cup that I use is negligible. So it's not going to affect me or him. So, and the recipe, the muffin, the particular recipe is going to have so many other things, it's going to balance out. But am I going to spread it on a piece of bread? He might. I don't like peanut butter, but that way. But he might, and if he does, then he is mindful of, oh, I can't do this, again, for dinner, or I can't do it every day. So every person needs to figure out where in their body that saturated fat triggers weight gain and chronic diseases. So a lot of people are not familiar that saturated fat is what triggers. So, and a lot of people think that it's the carbs and the sugars. The carbs and the sugars come after the saturated fats trigger your body into that insulin resistance. So when when that saturated fat is in your body and you're having too much of it, what ends up happening is then your body cannot process the simple carbs and the simple sugars like refined sugars and such. So your glucose spikes. So that is why you have to be very diligent about the saturated fat. It is the main brain of causing the chronic diseases, the saturated fat. So, but, we don't want to eradicate the healthy saturated fats. We just want to be mindful. Now, if you are a heart patient, if you've had stents, if you've had bypasses, if you've had procedures, if you have had chronic diabetes with issues where you've already are having blindness or problems with limbs and circulation and things like that, then you might be one of those people that needs to be very mindful of the saturated fats. Dr. Esselstyn is one of the best explainers of this. Dr. Michael Greger is another one. Both of them have books. I have them on my coffee table right now. I'm going to go get them to show them to you. For those of you that don't have them, I'll show you my 3 favorite books. Okay, this is Dr. Esselstyn. I always pronounce their last name wrong. I'm sorry. Dr. Esselstyn, Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. If you are not a reader, then Google his YouTube lectures and interviews and hear him by his own mouth explain it. Do not go off of what other people say, even me. I want you to go to YouTube and I want you to Google his lectures, and when you see him physically speaking, hear him say it. So his name is Dr. Esselstyn, Caldwell B. Esselstyn. And then we've got Dr. Michael Greger, How Not to Die. Same thing. He has a fantastic YouTube lecture where he explains from start to finish what saturated fats do to your body and how the chronic diseases happen and how to clear them up and what to do. And my sister got me, because I love to cook, but I don't use cookbooks and she knows it. So she sent me the Bible of plant-based so that I could switch my life from a SAD, standard American diet. I've always been a gourmet cook, a home gourmet cook, not for business. And I have always replicated any dishes that we've had anywhere and love to do so. But I had a hard time going from, she knew I would find it foreign, going from a SAD diet, standard American diet, to a plant-based diet. So she gifted me the book, Be a Plant-Based Woman Warrior by Jane Esselstyn and Ann Esselstyn. This is Jane. I had the privilege of meeting her in Lakeland, Florida at one of her talks. And this is Ann. Ann is 90 years old. I think she might be 89, turning 90. Her husband is Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, who's 90, 91 now maybe. And she is so fit, you should go look at her YouTubes and what she can do at 90. That's where I'm striving for. And Jane is in her 60s and she is also incredible in fitness. Both of them are. They have their own YouTube channel. Go follow them if you do not. But this book is a Bible because it shows you how to convert, how to substitute, what things to do in the plant-based world. Once you get a handle of that, I try to convey it to you guys so that once you get a handle of that, you don't need books. You don't need anything but your old recipes and converting them. So, and you know what things are supposed to taste like. So if you have a taco, you know what that taco is supposed to taste like. So you need to know the combination of Mexican spices or Hispanic spices. If you're making a curry, what spices you would put in for that. And then taste and adjust and keep adding. As long as it doesn't have sodium in them, you will be fine. So those 3 books are Bible to me for the plant-based world. And How Not to Die and Dr. Esselstyn's Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. Dr. Esselstyn is the only doctor that has patient-based research, and the reason that he put his patients on a plant-based diet, he's a cardiologist with the Cleveland Clinic. He put his patients on a plant-based diet, and when he did that, he did it to save them from dying. So he changed them up to a plant-based diet, and Anne, his wife, was his right-hand woman that created all the recipes that his patients ate, and he restricted them from saturated fats, even the plant-based ones, so that they could live, because they were already patients with stents and bypasses, heart surgery, and all of the big stuff. And he did not want them to die. He wanted to come up with a way to keep them living and thriving. So Anne and Dr. Esselstyn did the research for all of these patients. So he amassed all the research for these patients. In doing so, he then figured out that other diseases were being reversed, like diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, cancers. Things were being suppressed. Bad diseases were being suppressed. So, all right. I don't know what's going on with Instagram. Okay, this got long, guys. But he has plant-based research. So he when people talk to you about the research, you need to, if they're spouting research at you and trying to say that in your plant-based life you're not getting protein or you're not getting this or you're not getting that, they haven't done their research and they haven't read anything. Also go to the American College Lifestyle of Medicine. It is the Lifestyle Medicine Physicians Board Certification group of doctors. They have a lot of information on that website. They have a 43-page and 183-page plant-based guide on how to live this lifestyle, how to get your protein, how to balance all of it. These physicians, my sister is one of them, are all certified in lifestyle medicine, which means that they follow the pillars of lifestyle medicine, which means that they not only focus on nutrition, they focus on the whole wellness of the person: mind, sleep, stress, nutrition, all of it. So that is also very important. So just do your research. Make sure that you're getting a balance. Make sure that you're getting a colorful balance. Make sure that your plate is always as colorful as it can be so that you do not have any deficiencies. Don't eat the same thing over and over again, although I do eat my soy chia yogurt every morning because that's how I love to get my soy in every day, because you guys know that that's how I got rid of all of my menopause ailments. So eating soy every single day, that is another thing that you guys can research on if that is of interest to you or important to what you're doing or why you're doing this for your body. I get at least 1 serving to 2 servings a day, probably more because we use soy yogurt and we use soy milk for everything. In this house, I don't use the almond milks or the oat milks or any of the other ones. I would rather have the one that has the protein content and the nutrition. The oat milks and the walnut milks and everything they have saturated fat, but they don't have the protein content that the soy milk does. So we choose to use the soy milk, and my preferred one is Eden because it has the highest protein content of any of the soy milks out there. It has 12 grams, I believe. The next one, it has 9, and you can even froth the Eden soy milk. You can put a little bit in and froth it. I love making my matcha, like afternoon, I might make a matcha, a frothed matcha with soy milk. So I use the soy milk for everything. It makes the creamiest soy yogurt because of the protein content. It's very neutral, so it's not as tangy or strong as some of the other milks, so I like the way that it tastes. So put that variety on your plate. Make sure that you are also working on your mind, your sleep, your exercise. Strength training is super important. First we handled nutrition, then we focused on losing weight because we noticed that we were balancing and losing weight. And so I started working on our plate balances so that I could figure out how to do our plate balances so that we would lose weight. And then once we had those 2 things mastered, we really delved into exercise in the strength training part. So a lot of people ask me, well, do you do cardio? Yes, we do cardio, but it's my warm-up. It's not the losing weight exercise. That is not what gets you to lose weight. What gets you to lose weight is strength training, and also strength training helps you with your balance, and it's going to help you achieve the things that you want to achieve as you age. So carrying the groceries in, squatting, lifting suitcases for a trip, you name it, reaching, using those shoulders. You want to be able to build that muscle. I never had muscles before. I never even focused on them. I never even tried to do them. I thought getting on a treadmill, walking, or something like that was what I should do. And I didn't necessarily lose weight. I had to either exercise a lot and diet and restrict my food so much to lose weight. And now I can eat and I eat a ton, and Also, I use the cardio for warm up and use the cardio for your cardiovascular health. But I use, I think we're getting tornado looking weather here in Florida. And I use, okay, that's scary. Sorry, I'm looking straight out and it's like I'm seeing like the trees go sideways suddenly. And it's not even raining. So I hope it's not a tornado spout. So, strength training. So we progressed. I started with 2-pound weights and I've progressed and increased. So the whole point is weekly evaluating. Can you do more? Can you lift heavier? So the rule is lift heavy. It doesn't mean go from none to 25 pounds. That's not what lift heavy means. Lift heavy for you. So lift heaviest for you. That is the definition. Lift heaviest for you. So my heaviest at the beginning was only 2 pounds and walking maybe a quarter of a mile with my weights in my hands doing the exercise. Now I've progressed and I think at around 12-pound weights that I can carry while I'm walking. And at the gym, I can do more. So I also started at the gym with 2-pound weights and you just increase from there. And you lift heavy where you're at that point. And the point is to be able to do 4 to 6 repetitions with that heavy weight. If you're doing 15 repetitions easily with a 10-pound weight, then they're too light. You need to move up a little bit. So if you are not struggling, not sweating, if it's not getting your heart rate going by doing the weight, then you're not doing it heavy enough. But you do need to build up to it because you don't want to get hurt. But one thing that I'll say, I used to have all the aches and pains. I used to have hip and sciatica. I used to have shoulder issues, back issues. All of those things are gone. I used to have inflammation and joint pain. All of those things are gone. And they started being gone with the nutrition and the food before I even started with the strength training and the exercise. But when I added the strength training, it just improved. And now when I feel yucky, like we just got back from Miami and we had a whole weekend away and it was fabulous. But sometimes when you're away for a little getaway or a vacation, you come back exhausted because you had so much fun and you were doing so much stuff. Instead of laying around, what we did is we went and worked out at the gym, worked out all the kinks, worked out all the stuff that we had. We went right back to our smoothies with turmeric and ginger and such so that we could get inflammation out, because when you're not in your home environment, you're going to have more sodium and more things that are going to give you inflammation. So instead of laying around, we went right back to our routine, to our exercise routine to make our bodies feel better. And my body thanked me for it. So, and Jay is training for hiking and summiting Mount Snuffles this summer with our son. So he packed on his 40-pound vest on the stepping machine and he climbed 160 floors and worked on that. And that is not who we were 20 months ago. So for those of you looking at us and saying, well, that's not me, I can't do that. Yes, you can. You've seen our photos. You've seen what we looked like. We were those sedentary people. We were the couch potatoes. And we were like this for 53 years. I'm 55 now, and we were this for 53 years. It never changed. And our son is the most active human being on the planet. He's super athletic. He has a 12-pack. He is a super athlete. He hikes, he runs, he climbs. He's a climbing instructor. So I think he thought we were always going to be like this and that we were going to be the movie WALL-E and die with all the chronic diseases that our family members have struggled with and died from, in very tragic deaths, some of them. And that's why we were impacted to change our life. We were desperate. We just didn't know how to do it until my sister came along and helped us. So we were those people. Don't look at us and go, well, I can't do that. Yes, you can. And I'm going to go have my chickpea smash now. Bye, guys. Hope you're having a happy day. If you have any questions, put them down at the bottom. Bye.